Jay, it's good to see you. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Doing okay. Thanks so much.
You can hear me all
Pizaria,
right?
pardon me?
You hear me all right?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
Pizzari, Titus, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We're doing our weekly show for Panfurware LLC. Let that sink in. And we, of course, have the in here to chat with and share some of his music with us. Um, Once again, Anthony unfortunately isn't available to be with us tonight, but shockingly, he has trusted Eric and I once again to hold down the fort here on Clubhouse. I tried to tell him how much I need adult supervision, but he has more confidence in me than that. So, for those of you who may not know me, I'm Judan Armenti. I'm the founder of JA Creatives Consulting, and I work to empower musicians and creatives on the business side of their careers, helping them navigate the juncture between art and commerce. Eric, you want to give yourself a little intro?
Yeah, sure. Hey, everybody. My name is Eric Ziegler, and I am a sync agent for Panfurware LLC. I take the library that we do have with the lovely and amazing artists that we have, and get it to anybody from a music supervisor to a showrunner to a producer, and find it a visual home, so to speak.
And Jay, you want to give us a little intro to yourself for those of the audience that aren't familiar with you?
Yeah, yeah. So my name is Josh, but I go by J Phatty. That's my stage name. I'm 23 years old. I'm a producer, songwriter, recording artist, just creative in general, I would say. I'm from Nebraska. I currently live in Blair right now. But yeah, I just cook up beats, write songs here and there, and then I've been trying to get into sync. I also run a YouTube channel where um, I just make FL Studio tutorials and show upcoming beat makers how to make beats, just share knowledge and stuff like that. I'm almost at 2,000 subscribers right now, so it's actually really cool. Some dope work being done over there. But yeah, I mean, I'm a nice guy. I'm easy to get along with, and I'm just here to make some music and make some good vibes and collaborations and all that. So yeah, appreciate you guys.
Yeah, and thank you, Josh. Actually, if you can send me that link, if you send me that link to the YouTube thing, I can probably pin it to the top of the room here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I can just how do I do this again? Um, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll message to you right now.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, Josh. So why don't we get into some of the rudimentary things? Why don't we find out what PRO you're with?
My bad. I was just typing that message. I'm with BMI.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay. Is there a
BMI.
particular reason why you chose BMI?
Yeah, because it was free, and I I didn't have the money for the other one. So yeah,
Okay,
that's why I'm with BMI.
that's always a good thing to take into consideration when you're making a decision. That's all good. Just a quick second to say hey to Demetrius and also to Harley. Harley, welcome to Clubhouse. I see it's your first week here. Let's see. The only thing I'd recommend is that you fill out a little bit more in your bio so that we get an idea of who you are and what your interests are. But stay with us while we talk to our buddy Jay Phatty. So, Josh, why don't you give us an idea of one of your earliest musical experiences? What kind of hooked you into the life of music?
Dang. I mean, I've been listening to music since I was like uh, a little kid. Um, so I don't know. Probably like my first ever CD that I got was Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park, and I don't know. I just loved that so much, and I have the homie Harley that's in here is one of my homies. I told him to join. So I appreciate him coming in, and he's like one of my longest homies like ever. We were kids listening to that CD and just really enjoying the music so much, and really just, I don't know. For me, I used to walk home from school and like I don't know. I used to listen to a lot of rock and like heavier stuff. So I was listening to Avenged Sevenfold, and I was, you know, listening to them play the instruments and then singing all that. And I would like envision myself on the stage doing that. And I don't know, it just brought me a bunch of adrenaline and just, I don't know. So I think that's probably my most early, just like excitement from music. And then about when I was like 12, I'd say I tried making beats. I guess you could say it's beats. I use this program where you just pretty much put loops together, and I did that for a little bit and then stopped. And then I didn't really get into like making beats and the love of music until I was about 16. So, yeah, I think that answered that question. It was kind of a long tangent.
No, tangents are where the heart of the matter is, so don't worry about that. So, what is it that you like most about doing beats, since that's pretty much where you started out and you have your YouTube channel, etc.? So, what is it that you find so attractive and enamoring and almost purpose like for doing beats?
Well, I actually started music rapping. I guess I did start making beats a little bit, like I said, when I was 12. But when I got really into it, I just started rapping, and then I was like, you know what, I can make my own beats. Because once again, I didn't want to buy any beats. I didn't have any money, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna make my own beats. And so I started learning that. And I'm sorry, I forgot what the question was because I was thinking about that. Can you repeat the question? My bad.
No, it just seemed to me from what you were saying is beats is kind of like your foundational element to your musical
Oh,
life.
yeah,
So I was just
for
curious
sure.
what it is that draws you into beat creation.
Well, like I said, at first it was because I wanted to make my own beats. I didn't think I would fall in love with it. I completely fell in love with the whole process, just how sound is. Like, I love, I mix and master all my own stuff too. So, like, I don't consider myself just a beat maker. I consider myself, like all of it, a super producer, I guess you can call it, someone who does everything. And, yeah, I don't know. I just love learning new stuff. I mean, that's why I do the tutorials. I started reading the manual of FL Studio. It's a big, long manual just so I can learn more stuff about FL Studio because I love having that knowledge and then spreading it. I don't know, just the you get lost in it. Like nothing else, no problems that you have or anything else matters when you're like in that flow state when you're making beats. So I don't know. It's almost like an escape, I guess. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, that's great. I love to hear that you totally get into like a flow state when you're doing it. Um, is there any particular musical style that really brings inspiration to you, or do you just have it flowing from all directions?
You see, that's where that Hybrid Theory CD comes in for me, I think, because I mean that album was, it was like alt rock, but it had a lot of other influences like hip hop, soul, just blues, just all R&B. It had and then plus rock elements, and it was crazy. That's why it was called Hybrid Theory, because it was a fusion. It was a theory of fusing music genres together, and um, that's definitely what I feel like I do. I try to blend in all of what I listened to when I was younger, all of what my parents listened to. I love listening to like old classic vinyls and just um, getting that vibe and then getting into new stuff. I don't know. I think I definitely pull from all different genres, but I make like hip hop. But like I said, I pull from all different sorts. I mean, I love making hip hop, R&B, soul. I've been getting into more dance beats recently and more like really deep, dark, more ambient beats. So I don't know. I just love trying new things and trying to pull from other music cultures to create something new.
Oh, I love that you love blending the cultures and the different styles, etc. I always find that some of the best artists are the ones that pull in from all kinds of different genres. It's probably one of the reasons why I love Santana so much. But I'm curious, since you mix and master everything and you create the beats, to me that's kind of, you know, cradle to the grave kind of creativity, covering every base of a piece of work. So we know that you really get into the zone when you're doing a beat. How is it that the other tasks involved with creating the product work for you? Is is the beat making definitely the heart and soul of it all for you, or do you enjoy particular challenges with mixing and mastering? How does that kind of flow for you?
Don't get me wrong. I love like a challenge of doing a mix and master, but to me, that work is definitely tedious. But um, when it comes to beat making, that's where the heart is for sure. That's where the soul is. I mean, just make it. And like Demetrius, I work a lot with him. The 3 tracks that you're going to be playing, that I sent Eric, are with him, and he has some notes as well. He can't be in here with me, which is unfortunate because I'd like to get his thoughts on the tracks. But I got some notes from him. But when we're making beats, he'll make the melodies a lot of the times, and it's just like amazing because I'll sit there and tune into the process of him making the melodies and start kind of like brainstorming. Um, but then when it just comes all together, it just there's just at once.
I am curious to wonder why you think that Demetrius can't be here with you, because there's that little button that I just pressed, and Demetrius, it's up to you. Get up here.
You might as well come up here, man. I already said you by name.
Yeah, he's already tagged you into the ring. Oh, he said no.
No,
Josh, you're on your own.
I think my thing just glitched, so I gotta leave and join back in. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Because
Go ahead. We'll be back
I
to
can
you.
barely hear anything.
Oh, Demetrius, you're at work still. Oh,
There we go. Now we're good.
sucks.
Now we're good.
Well, I tried to help you out, Josh, and tag team Demetrius into the ring with you, but he's working. He said you're on your own.
I say he can't. Unfortunately, I already talked to him, but I forgot about this. Like, I asked to do it, and then I forgot because I was just been doing stuff this week, um, and then I got reminded, and I was like, oh yeah, yes, I still want to do that. And I tried to hit up DC, but it was too short a notice. So,
Aw,
but no, I
that's
mean,
okay.
he sent me some notes. But yeah.
Well, no worries. At some point, we'll get Demetrius in a headlock and get him up here. You love how subtle I am? So, with all that you're doing, and I don't think I've really asked anybody this question, so I might be holding your feet to the fire uh, for this. But with, you know, not to be condescending, but you're very young, you're very accomplished, and obviously exceptionally talented. So I'm curious to hear what you would like for your trajectory of your career to be.
Well, I appreciate the kind words. That definitely means a lot. Um, I want to. I don't know. I think my ultimate goal is to definitely like help in whatever way I can, help people, and that's why I do YouTube. That's one way of me being able to help people. But I want it to be more than that. Um, I think that one thing that that I really want to do is I think that the lack of education in the music business for newer like artists is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like so many new people that come into the business or come and try to be musicians, they are very talented, but they have no idea about the business or any of that. So I think one thing that I want to do is definitely somehow make it easier to access that knowledge and understand that knowledge of the music business. I mean, it's constantly changing, especially with all this new stuff, but I don't know. I just want to be on top of that and help other people be on top of it. But music wise, I definitely want to get it to where it's sustainable, not just for me, but for my family. And, so I can prove and show that this is a viable way to do something, you know, especially if you know the business and are talented. Because when good business planning and talent meet each other, that's when the stuff starts to pop off. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I just definitely want to keep this music going to a point where it's sustainable. And then I want to, you know, just help more people in ways that I can. Even I want it to be more than music, but right now it's just music. So I don't exactly got it all figured out, but you know, I'm definitely trying.
Well, I can certainly tell you that we can plan all we want, but so often chance, fate, circumstance, whatever you want to call it, it kind of takes its own hand and you end up somewhere where you never thought you were going to be, but you're extremely happy that you're there. So, I just want to put this out here, Josh. It sounds to me, with you talking about the business side of things and everything, I just really feel like you're flirting with me since that's my area of expertise. And, you know, you don't have to flirt so hard, but I'd really.
No. Oh, that's funny.
I'd really like to know, you know, for my own edification, I'd love to hear from you what you feel people coming into the business aren't really understanding about the business. I'd like to compare notes on that.
They're definitely not understanding royalties. They're definitely not understanding even what a PRO is. They're definitely not understanding just business tactics in general. Like, and I've been there, you know, the point where they just spam their music in people's DMs or like on comments and stuff like that. And hey, that may work for some people, but I don't think that's an organic way. And then, you know, just the maneuverability in it, like having to make connections, having to find a team, you know, like sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of upcoming artists don't understand exactly what they're getting into. Like if you want this, it takes a lot of sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I just want to be able to. I'm still learning myself. I don't know the business at like in and out at all. So I'm still definitely learning myself and trying to figure it all out. But I don't know what I when I first got into the business side, I was like, oh, it's going to be so. I hate business. It's going to be so boring. But actually, just like when I started making beats, I started falling in love with it. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to learn as much as I can, and it's difficult to, like I said, it's difficult to find current knowledge on the music industry because it's just constantly changing, you know. And there's so much like jargon and stuff that you have to like lingo and words that you have to learn. It's a lot of legal stuff, and it's confusing for a reason. So you know, because then it makes it easier for these independent artists or underground artists to get taken advantage of.
You know, I really love hearing your take on that. I'm sorry I had to kind of giggle to myself because of what you feel about the terms and being able to take advantage of younger artists, because you're not wrong. You're certainly not. And this is all playing into actually my expertise, because that's what I'm looking to do, is educate artists on all levels about the different things, and particularly on finances. And one of the things that I like to teach people is that you can't be intimidated or put off by terms, because every industry has them. So if the music industry is throwing one term around, you know, you simply have to come back and go, well, I've got my own terms. Do you understand what a diminished seventh is? Do you understand what an arpeggio is? And so many business people will be like, what? Huh? So it's just simply having the confidence of knowing that every industry has its terms, and there's actually a common knowledge term that when you understand that they're the same thing, you'll be like, is that it? You're just using that term to intimidate me? All right, let's play the game. So,
Sure, for sure. And that's what I'm saying. Like, those terms can seem intimidating, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's the lack of knowledge. You just don't know what the term means. So, like, if you learn it and understand, it helps you maneuver a lot better and a lot easier. But yeah, for sure. Like I definitely need to schedule a session so I can learn some more business stuff about it, and um, just especially finances and stuff too. Because I just started an LLC, so I'm definitely trying to get all my shit together. Excuse my French, but
Oh, no worries, man. I'm glad that you're getting your stuff together and really addressing it. Um, I'm actually doing workshops. If you ever want to get in on that, you can let me know. Um,
yeah, for sure, for sure.
but yeah, so I think that what's really important, and I am guessing you're going to get on board with this, is that so many young artists and even many veterans, they get intimidated by all the aspects of being an artist because, when you're an accountant, you don't have to really worry about marketing yourself. You just put CPA behind your name if you've passed the exam. And then people are just going to stumble into you either on Instagram, or not Instagram, but LinkedIn or other social media that you put out there. And they'll be like, okay, you got a CPA, you're down the street, here I am, here's my money, look over my finances. But a musician has to be able to understand how they're getting paid via royalties or anything else. They also have to understand all the different ways that their music can generate income and make them some money. Then they also have to be able to understand things like marketing and promotions. And everything comes back to being able to know their music, know how to market it, and know how to manage the resources that they have. And I think that's why everybody jumps to, I need a team, I need a team, because so much of the unknown quotients are so important that you kind of get this intimidation paralysis kind of thing going on. But if you're able to get it broken down to you in as simple ways as possible, you can learn the fundamentals well enough to understand as things start to progress and grow and change. Have you found that to be true?
Yeah, for sure. Um, like 100%. And I think also getting a team doesn't always have to mean like, oh, you need an accountant, you need a someone to promote your stuff, you need a blah, 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 like all. For me, a team is just people of like-minded individuals that are all striving, or maybe some have already achieved certain goals that you're trying to achieve, but just like, for example, Demetrius, Harley, Carlos, Faux Pound, all of them are like my team, and then ISO too. I consider them all the team, and we're all just striving to uh, get this music stuff going. And I think you know having a team doesn't have to be all of that like super crazy like difficult stuff, because that, like you said, that stuff will happen down the line. I mean, as stuff figures itself out. So I just think getting around certain individuals that are doing the same thing you're doing, or have already achieved your goals, that's how you can really like thrive. And I mean, I've proven that to myself, because ever since I started working with DC and Faux, especially, like um, I've just been able to learn so much about Spotify, and then us working together, just you start getting into these other people's communities, and you become a community member yourself, and then it just starts help growing your brand more and more. And there's just so much power in the connections. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, just to flog this horse a little bit more, let me ask you this question. How much, how, with the new people you see coming in, do you see there being a difference between those that are aspiring to be musicians versus those who are aspiring to be famous?
Oh yeah, big difference, big difference. I mean, yeah, because if you're just trying to be famous, I don't know if there's really any love in the art. And that could be because okay, you could both want to, you could, it doesn't have to be like a choice. You could want both. You know, you could be inspiring to be a musician, but then you can also want to be famous, you know. But I think if you go full trying to be famous, you start sacrificing the love for the art because it's a process. And then maybe you try to skip steps. Maybe you try to, um, I don't know, do something that'll get you ahead that isn't necessarily a part of the process. Because that's what it is a process, and you got to learn that and accept that. Like most independent musicians, I mean, will go like 5+ years, no money off their music or barely any, and you know that's where it like weeds out the people that really want it compared to the people that want the idea of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really the difference between the internal validation of creating an art versus the external validation of people just liking you. And one leads to fulfillment, and I might be painting with a wide brush here, but the other could lead just simply to um, disappointment. And what I think is worse for anybody with any kind of creative outlet is compromising the art in favor of popularity. So that could get me onto an entire soapbox. So you might want to take a wide berth around that comment.
No, I mean, I think disappointments in both of them though. I mean, because you're gonna get disappointed either way. It's just whether if you quit or not. I mean, because I mean, there are gonna be plenty of moments where it's trial and error. You know, so I think like you can't be afraid of failing because failure doesn't mean just complete stop. Failure isn't death, you know, in a sense. It doesn't mean just complete stop of everything. Like you can still continue to, you can actually, failures are the best lessons. So you can actually learn from that and, you know, but you just grow from it. Same thing with mistakes and all of that. Like, I don't know. I think you can't be afraid of failing or making mistakes because, I mean, we're human. No one's perfect. It's going to happen. You just got to learn.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a good point.
Yeah, failure is
Sorry,
definitely education. Go ahead, Eric.
I was just gonna say that there's a good saying that I learned, you know, like over a year ago, and it's been in my head pretty much ever since. Is that you know, sometimes no just means not right now.
Yeah. A lot of the times I feel like that's what no means. I mean, well, you know, most of the time, but that's a good quote for sure. Yeah. Where's that from? You said you heard that from someone?
Oh yeah, no, I was well. I mean, that's the amazing thing about Clubhouse is that you know there's all kinds of rooms that have little tidbits of information. I forget honestly what room it may have you know it was in, um, but yeah, sometimes no just means not right now is something that I heard, you know, actually from a number of people, and it's something that really resonates with a lot of people because there's a lot of people who see you know failure as this very looming threat, and you know it's important to not it's important to realize that it's not that you know failure is going to happen, but it's about how you overcome it.
Yeah, that's all facts right there.
So, Josh, let me ask you: how often are you completing material? Do you set out goals for yourself? Do you sit down and decide, what you're going to write for, or are you a fly by the seat of the pants, inspiration inspired only kind of writer? How is your process derived?
So I definitely make monthly goals and try to achieve them. I don't usually achieve all of the goals, but if I can even check mark like two, three, four of them off, I mean, I consider that good. Um, when it comes to like the process of making beats, that I can force that. And just because of my experience with it, I could definitely force myself to make beats if I need to. But I definitely like being inspired or Yeah, I mean, or like I love making beats when I have people around, because I don't know, I feel like I don't know, I feel like when there's other energy in the room, I don't know, I feel like it's a lot easier to transfer that into uh, music, you know. So I definitely like making beats when people are around. That gives me inspiration. It helps the creative bell go off. You know what I'm saying? So I like doing that. And then when it comes to writing, like when I write raps and stuff, I definitely have to be inspired to do that. I can't force that really. Um, but when I'm inspired, it just comes so easily. I just love writing it. I have to write with a pen and pad. Otherwise, if I don't do that, I don't know. It doesn't feel like I'm actually writing something. You know what I'm saying? Like if I just type it, it doesn't feel the same. So I definitely have to write it. And with my handwriting, it's crazy because I'm going so fast. It ends up coming to a point where I can't even read what I'm writing. But I eventually can, you know, get past the chicken scratch. So yeah, I don't know. It's definitely about inspiration for sure.
Oh, I love hearing that you're a pad and paper kind of guy because I am too. The organics of just physically writing it out and almost like talking to yourself as your mind's working the words out and then your eyes are seeing the words come out on the page. It's just
Yeah,
something that,
it's magical, you know, like, and it feels like it's like you're transcribing it onto stone. It's like you're putting something into stone. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
mm,
It's just, there's something special about it.
yeah, the organics of it, I think, is what's really important. So I think that that's something that I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Would that speak to just simply, quote unquote, the old soul kind of spirit, or whatever? Because so few people these days will utilize the pen and paper method, um, whether it's for expediency's sake or just simply for convenience or whatever the case may be. But I just love knowing that somebody else has pads of paper all over the place with stuff written on them. That always makes me smile.
I wanted to jump in there on that. Because I am very okay. So I am very much somebody who writes everything on a keyboard. All right, I should have been a doctor because my handwriting is terrible. However, I've been really, kind of in a similar thing to writing down lyrics, on paper. I've been thinking about getting into journaling, just writing down my, not even trying to create, lyrics, but just trying to write down my thoughts onto physical pen and paper. So I think that's something, I think there is something to that. Definitely there is something to that act of physically writing it down. That's soothing in a way.
For sure. And I mean, it's like whether it's journaling or if you're just doing it, writing raps down or poems or whatever, like, um, there's something about mental man. It really helps with the mental, like, I mean, especially if you're journaling, you're just kind of just organizing your thoughts, and that really can help with mental management. So it's definitely dope.
So now that we have something more in common, um, what is your feeling on live performance versus working in a studio? Are you someone who goes out to perform, who likes to perform, or do you just want to stay in the studio, create like the mad scientist, or do you like to mix it up?
I definitely want to perform. I've never actually performed live, so I definitely want to try that. It's a little bit more difficult in Nebraska. I mean, you know, the only stuff that really goes on around here is that agriculture and that corn. So, you know, like, I don't know. I'm sure I could definitely find some shows in Omaha and stuff like that, or Lincoln, but I haven't done any live performance. But I definitely want to do that. And then I've never actually been in a professional studio either. I just make everything in my own like personal like studio with just my computer, some monitors, and then my audio equipment. So I mean, I've never been in a pro studio like that. I would definitely like to do that too. One of my goals is to have like, I mean, thinking big, I want to have a studio in every state. That would be crazy. But I would like to have a studio in like the main, one in Cali, one in Atlanta, one in New York, stuff like that. And that'd be super cool. But yeah, I mean, right now I'm currently just doing everything from a basement, but I definitely need to get out there more and do, because the homie Demetrius, who's in the chat, he does a lot of live shows over in Cali, and the connections are crazy. Meeting new people and also just playing music live is a whole nother thing. I mean, I've jammed out with some friends, which is kind of similar to it, but it's not even close to the same vibe. Like, I definitely want to do that. Definitely something that I'm putting on my list.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to come out with it and say, if there's not a place to do it, create your own space.
Oh
I was
yeah.
just having a conversation, I guess, last week. Somebody I was talking to about doing it through Airbnb. They have a concert series or an experience on Airbnb for any of their locations. If you can,
What?
yeah. If
That's
you go
pretty
on to
crazy.
Airbnb, they have experiences that you can sign up for in any city that you're planning to visit. And they actually have concerts in there as well. So you can go out on a limb and just look for an Airbnb in your location and say, to whomever, do you mind if I have like a porch concert? Do you mind if I just set up something in the driveway and have people in the front yard listening to the show? And you have, a handful of people performing with you, and bada bing, bada boom, you're done. It all depends on what production you need and whether or not you can pull that off. And that way, you don't have to worry about a promoter taking the money. It can go directly to you through Airbnb, and maybe the only thing you lose is about 10% for commission for Airbnb. But there are plenty of ways for you to do that on your own, and we can talk about that off Clubhouse sometime if you want.
Yeah, that's actually really smart. That's definitely something to think about. Um, yeah, that'd be crazy. And I don't even. Like I said, I haven't done any live shows, so I don't. I guess I've done stuff on Twitch, like live stream, but not in like a show. I've just made beats live, but that's another avenue you can make something with, or do some like my homie, that young lad. He does live concerts. He's a rapper and a song recorder. He does some awesome stuff, but he just raps live and people love it. So you could I definitely want to do some like kind of beat, like live beat things, or like remixing, maybe kind of like DJing, but I'm not exactly sure yet.
Yeah, there's so many things that you can do, especially with Twitch. That's always a good resource to use as well. Um, what was I just thinking? It just left my head. Darn it. But yeah, there's lots of ways that you can utilize technology to do things like that, even if you just start by doing like a Facebook Live. And I love the idea of you doing the Twitch thing. And if you don't already use Patreon, that could probably be a really good idea for you, where you have people on Patreon that only have access to you doing that. I kind of want to backpedal just a minute because I know we need to get to your music in a hot second. But when you're saying that you like to make beats with people in the room with you, I understand what you're saying. I love to have chaos around me when I'm creating, just simply because psycho that I am, it actually helps me concentrate to have chaos going on, or regular life going on all around me. Um, so, but for you, with people being quote unquote around while you're making beats, do you consider or think about whether or not those individuals would be quote unquote contributing to the work and therefore kind of be collabs? Or is it just simply you doing you while they're, reading whatever magazine they're reading or whatever over in the corner, or talking to other people, and you're just simply in your own little world while they're physically in the same space.
So it definitely depends on the situation, but for example, if I have like the homie Carlos or the homie Harley over, like they're definitely contributing. I mean, we're there to work on music, so I'm making the beat, but they put an input, and um, just them being there, their energy, their vibe helps create it as well. So I definitely would consider that a collab. But I also like if I'm just over at a homie's place, or just chilling somewhere, I can make beats on my phone too. So like if I'm just chilling somewhere or at a homie's place, sometimes I'll just you know uh, cook up right there. Like I used to go to my homie's one of my homie's apartments, and I just bring my portable studio because I had a laptop at the time, and yeah, I mean he'd just be chilling doing something, and I'd just be cooking up, and I just even like that where they're not putting in any input, but their vibe alone still would contribute to the track.
Yeah, I bring it up just simply because, it is a little bit of a slippery slope. Just simply as, the business end of things, there could be people that may be in the room that say, oh, this blew up to be a quadruple platinum selling song that you were writing through that beat. And I was in the room when you wrote the beat, so therefore I deserve writer's credit. And
If that would,
that's like a
I would definitely like if that was the case. Like, see, I don't make music with just in front of a bunch of people. Like usually there's only one or two people in the room, and if that was the case, and made a platinum record or whatever off of that, and they wanted to share, I would definitely give them one if their vibe contributed. But normally they would already have a share anyway, because like I said, most of the time it's just when there's just people over here to do music with me, like we're just working and the vibes there. Like when there's another creative person to help spark that creative process, like that's why I like doing collabs, because Bruno Mars said it the best. But you get in as a once you find your sound, and you're like, you feel like almost comfortable in a sense, like you get into your own creative thinking process. But when you have collabs with other people, or you're working with something with someone else, they have their own way of seeing the creative process. So then they do things differently, and it gets you in a different creative process because you're thinking differently now too. And that's just when amazing things happen.
yeah, there's definitely that element to a true collab. But there have been times in music history where somebody's just been, you know, hanging on to somebody else and taking up oxygen in the room and not contributing, but claiming that their presence contributed. So that's why I just wanted to kind of talk to you about that, because it's certainly something that can happen, although it's so incredibly rare. But it's
For
definitely
sure.
worth
Like,
having.
and I think that happens a lot when you have people that you have people that you think are your homies but aren't actually your homies or your friends or whatever. So like, I just try to keep my circle super small. Like I don't try to have because I used to have a big circle of just all acquaintances and stuff, and there's a lot of snakes and something like that. So yeah, I just try to keep it small, and just work with people that I know that I can trust.
Yeah, definitely, because it's something that many young artists fall into without really consideration of it. And it's quote unquote one of those business things where you do have to be aware of it. So when you can acknowledge the difference between people that are within your inner circle versus people that are just invading the space, then you're well ahead of the game.